to Mark Gibson Humanoist channel. Accountant with designations CPA, MBA, CMA, ACPA, ASA, Australia. Enjoy learning!
So good morning, class, and welcome to your valuation concepts and methodologies class. Today, we are going to discuss other concepts and valuation techniques. So for the last few weeks, we have covered a number of different approaches in valuation. So today, we'll discuss the other concepts and other valuation techniques. So this would be the final topic on the valuation and concepts and methodologies subjects. So there are special topics that we have to cover in this chapter. So namely due diligence, divestiture, merger, and acquisition. So we'll discuss each of these topic one by one. So first we have due diligence. So due diligence, this is the process of validating the representations made by a seller normally to an investor. So it requires thorough examination of all the records that would be relevant in the realizations of returns. So there are different types of due diligence. But before we go to these different types of due diligence, parang in layman's term, due diligence is simply check out, do a background investigation before you invest in whatever investment opportunity available. So uh, like like what we parang kung halimbawa in real life. So before you even extend credit to a friend or a family member, syempre check mo muna, is that person has the capacity to pay you, of course, ibang usapan kasi pag family or friends. But then, we still have to do our own due diligence. Otherwise, it's like just a pitfall, that are we really willing to take the risk? So that's really a question for all of you. So the types of due diligence. So we have, according to the executor, so we have corporate due diligence, private due diligence, and government due diligence. So corporate due diligence, this is the due diligence exercise to be conducted or commissioned by a company or corporation that will invest to business, and this is considered corporate due diligence. So this is between corporations. So for example, I'm not sure if you're reading the news right now, but Manny Villar's company was given the frequency, previously owned by ABS-CBN. So if I were ABS-CBN, what I'm going to do first is check whether this Manny Villar's company will have all the capacity to hold this frequency, or are they able to carry all my programs? So those are part of corporate due diligence that ABS-CBN might undergo. So private due diligence, this is the due diligence exercise or facilitated or conducted by an individual or at least few individual investors, but it's not yet incorporated. And so this is called private due diligence. So basically, this is us. So say, or even group of individuals. So prior to investing, of course, you have to check. And by checking, so due diligence is really looking into the capacity, the trends, financial statements, and so on and so forth. But later on, we'll check ano nga ba yung dapat talagang tinitingnan, what are the evidences, that we have to look into, that will form part of the due diligence. So next we have government due diligence. So this is the due diligence commissioned or conducted by the government. So most of the time, this type of due diligence is for the protection of the public or evaluation of the operations of the company for the public interest. So we can say that probably what happened with ABS-CBN is government exercising its due diligence, no? So I don't want to be political, no, but then what happened with ABS-CBN is actually they were put into different investigations, no, held by both bodies of Congress, Senate, and the House of Representatives. So they were scrutinized, no? So, but in the end, no, they were not granted, or the franchise was not renewed. No? So again, if we're going to be political, that's another side of the story. No? So next we have types according to subject. So we have number one, hard due diligence. No? So paano ba pag hard due diligence? So sabi natin, when the due diligence focuses on the data and hard evidential information, this is so-called hard due diligence. No? So hard due diligence is where the lawyer or legal team, accountants, and deal facilitators are actively engaged. So this is where accountants like us partake, no, in terms of uh, probably we're being hired by a corporation or different individuals to do uh, processes on due diligence. No? So soft due diligence focuses on the internal affairs of the internal organization of the company and its customers. No? So of course, no, as an investor, we are not just looking at the numbers, but of course, we tend to also look into the different internal processes, no? Including quality assurance, no? The organizational review. Tinitingnan din natin how they are developing people within the organization. So that's part of soft due diligence. Now, combined due diligence. So when the focus of the due diligence exercise is to cover both quantitative and qualitative areas, so that's called combined due diligence. So basically, it's a combination of hard and soft due diligence. No? So remember, no, hard due diligence, we're looking into paper trails. No? We're looking into the financial statements, audit trails, opinions of the auditors. Soft due diligence naman, we're looking into the different internal processes. No? So that includes people management, and if it's a manufacturing firm, how they manage the manufacturing processes. No? Just to name a few examples. So what are the factors to be considered in the due diligence process? So number one, we have the market capitalization. Actually, market capitalization is a concept that we have already discussed. No? So sabi natin, in order for us to compute for the market value per share, all we have to do is get the market capitalization and then divide it by the number of outstanding shares. No? So ano bang indicator nito? Of course, if you have a strong market capitalization, then it follows that you have a stable, no, market price or high market price. Next, we have performance profitability trend analysis. Of course, this is very important. No? This is how we gauge the performance, how the entity performs at a given period of time. Now, as an accountant, ano ba yung tinitignan natin in terms of trend analysis? Of course, we look into the statement of financial performance. So ito yung statement of P&L natin. Next, we have the external environmental analysis. No? So in terms of external environmental analysis, of course, we look into assessing, no, the position of the company. So we look into the different benchmarks, no, and basically we compare them within the other players, no, within the industry. We compare them with the other players within the industry. Next, we have management and share ownership. So when we say management and share ownership, so remember, no, management, these are well, their role is to serve as a steward, no, steward of the owners. No? So they need to represent the owners in such a way that it will be beneficial to all the owners. No? And of course, we have the financial statements. No? So as an accountant, we know the different fundamental parts of the financial statements, especially the ones that will give us the comfort level whether to invest in a company or not. Of course, stock price history. No, stock price. We can if the entity is listed in the Securities and Exchange Commission, or listed in the Philippine Stock Exchange, no, then we can have visibility in terms of stock prices, no. And as we know, there are different elements, no, contributing to the increase or decrease in the stock prices, no. So previously we have discussed the concept called intrinsic value, no. So where we said that intrinsic value basically is we're looking into different elements aside from the quantitative, no? So the other elements like economic condition. Next, we have stock dilution possibilities. No? Stock dilution possibilities related to the analysis of the stock price history. Investors should know how many shares outstanding of the outstanding the company has and how that number relates to the competition. If the company is planning on issuing more shares, the stock price might take a hit and hence the possibilities of stock dilution. So simply, this is also related to the stock price history. Next, we have market expectations. So market expectations, basically, this is now on forecasting, no? How relevant your company will be in the future, no. So that's why we have to make sure that we have visibility of the strategic plan, no, of this company. Kasi pag sinabi na strategic, this is more of a long-term plan as against to tactical, no. So when we say tactical naman, probably it's just for a year or two, no. So it's more of short term, no. Okay. So next item is merger and acquisition. Actually, merger and acquisition are two different terms, no. So when we say merger, this is simply when two companies combine to form another company. So company A and company B, they merge together and then develop or in the process come up with company C. No? So that's simply how to illustrate what a merger is. Now, acquisition, on the other hand, is taking over or taking part of a company. So ano bang magandang example nito? For example, no, so, Xerox. No? Xerox is rapidly expanding, no, by way of acquiring different technology companies, no, not just in technology companies, yung mga small players that they think really have a potential. So what are the reasons for entering merger and acquisition? Of course, to manage the cost of capital. No? So another good example, no, very recent, is with the merger. Actually, is it I think it's more of a merger, no, between UCPB and Land Bank. But Land Bank will be the surviving entity. So President Duterte signed a law basically merging Land Bank and UCPB, telling that both are government banks and they serve the same purpose, no? So instead of operating under two umbrellas, now it will be survived by Land Bank, no? So ano ba yung mga implications? So of course, manage the cost of capital. Imagine, no, if there are two government banks operating within the same market, operating within the same purpose, we're paying two different management team, no, to oversee the operation of these banks, no. So that's primarily one of the reasons for entering an M&A, no, expansion and growth, no. I'm not sure if you heard about this, but in 2020, I think, no, there were talks between Manny Pangilinan and GMA, no. So at that time, I think Manny Pangilinan was looking into acquiring GMA. No? So of course, the very intention is to expand and grow. No? Economies of scale naman, so when we say economies of scale, basically the purpose is to lower the cost. No? So as you know, the higher the volume, no? So that we manufacture, ergo, we are reducing, no? The price significantly or the cost significantly. Next, we have to diversify for expanded market coverage. No? So when we say diversification, all we have to do is spreading all our investments. No? So just to make sure that uh, we are present, no, in different markets. Widen access in the industry, just the same. Technological advancements, no? That's also true. No? So for example, if you see a potential investment, no, where it can help you grow your business by making sure that all your processes are will be automated, then it's really a good, no, reason to enter into M&A. No? Legal strategies also, tax management strategies, and control over the supply chain. Okay, so let's now go to the different classifications of merger and acquisition. No? So number one, we have merger and acquisition according to form. No? So we have absorption or consolidation. No? So when we say absorption, this is done when a company takes over another company. So normally the latter are in a more disadvantageous position. So this is actually what happened to Sun Cellular. No, if you can still remember, no, Sun Cellular, they really initiated unlimited calls, no, and unlimited text. No, so um, at that time, it was really a hit, no, kasi imagine, no, there's really no cost naman talaga in sending messages, no. the um, the major investments of these telecommunication companies are in terms of the cell sites, no? But then when it's up and running, there's really, I mean, it will just go through those site. I mean, towers, ano? And yet they're charging 1 peso per text at that time, no, even more pa nga, no, kasi I remember it's charged per the number of text in the screen, no? That's it's very long time ago na. So next we have consolidation. So this is when two companies combine its assets and restructure their debt profile. So most of the M&A through consolidation are done by financing institutions like banks. No? So next we have M&As according to economic perspective. So M&A classification may also be dependent on its economic perspective. So we have horizontal, vertical, or conglomerate. No? So horizontal, it's when two firms in the same industry combined. No? So one good example is Jollibee and Chowking. No? So even Greenwich. No? So it's now owned by Jollibee Food Corporation. So when we say vertical merger naman, it's when two companies merge coming from different stages of production or value chain. So this occurs when a supplier purchases its customer or vice versa. Now, conglomerate on the other hand are M&As from completely unrelated industries. No? So ano ba yung mga conglomerate na alam natin sa ngayon? Di ba? We have, for example, Gokongwei. Gokongwei has Robinsons, but it also owns Cebu Pacific. No? So just to name a few under its conglomerate. And then next we have M&As based on legal perspective. We have short form, statutory, and subsidiary. So short form M&As is when parent purchase more interest from its subsidiary. Normally, a parent company that has about 90% ownership to 100% is a short form M&A. Now, statutory M&As, it is when a company combines with another where the company, the acquirer, retains its name. No? So I think good example of this is what basically what's happening with UCPB and Land Bank, no? With Land Bank being the surviving company after the statutory merger. No? And then finally, we have subsidiary M&As. In the is the consolidation of subsidiaries of a holding or parent company. So, uh, like for example, we have Chowking, Greenwich, no, all under the umbrella of JFC. Okay. Now, what are the stages of merger and acquisition? Of course, number one, pre-acquisition review. No, so this is where due diligence takes into account. No, so of course, investment opportunity scanning, valuation of target investment. No, so using the valuation methods that we have discussed previously, negotiation, magkano ba yan? No? I think this is where Manny Pangilinan and GMA didn't actually uh, agree on. No? So, hindi yata nagkasundo sa presyo. Then, of course, integration. No? Kasi, what's the use of M&A? Kung halimbawa, you still, you would still have two different management teams. Of course, there has to be an integration between the two. No? So, like what happened in Sun Cellular and Smart at that time. No? Of course, while most people in Sun Cellular were kept, no, to still run Sun Cellular, but most of the top management of Sun Cellular were briefed, no, from their jobs. No? So that's really the effect of M&A. Now, what are the reasons for the failure? Of course, poor strategic fit. No? So possibly they were not able to really review or went through a tedious diligence process. No? So poorly executed and ill managed. No? So I think that's also one of the many reasons why a M&A, no, doesn't really work. No? Inadequate due diligence, like I said, and then too aggressive projections. Of course, no, it's just M&A. It's also the same like you selling yourself, no. So effectively, you would like to appear really good, no. So yun pala, you have projected or you have presented yourself in a very good light that's really not reflective of what you are in substance. No? So that's also a reason, no, for the failure of M&A. So next topic is on the divestiture. No? So when we say divestiture, this refers to the disposal of the assets of an entity or business segment, often via sale to third party. Or simply, this is a sale of non-core business segment. No? So ano bang good example nito? No? So back when I was still in Pfizer, kung naalala niyo yung Centrum, di ba? Centrum, di ba, yung complete from A to Z, then stress tubs. These brands were previously under the Pfizer Consumer Health. Now, that segment was already sold to GlaxoSmithKline, no? So GSK. Kaya kung napapansin mo, kung nanonood ka ng commercial and very attentive ka to details, no, it's no longer the Pfizer logo. It's now GSK. No? So that's a good example of divestiture. No? So at that time, sabi ng Pfizer, they would like to focus more of the brands, no, of the Pfizer brand, no, rather than the consumer health segment. No? So that's why they sell it to GSK. So what are the rationales? Ito nga, sell the non-core. No? So at that time, Pfizer thought that the consumer health business segment is a non-core segment of the company. Of course, there's also the intention to generate additional funds. Kasi nga, by selling it, of course, you generate additional funds and then you can use it to finance projects that will support your core business. So another rationale for divestiture is to take advantage of the resale value of non-performing segment. Kasi it could probably be to your standpoint, it's non-performing segment, but there are other companies that see it as a performing segment. No? So like for example, GSK. So right now they're well, aside from the brand itself, they're also reinforcing this consumer health segment of their business. Ensure business stability, adapt to regulatory environment, lack of internal talent. So in terms of lack of internal talent, so you're simply selling this particular segment of yours to a more competent company to grow it, basically. Then take advantage of opportunistic offer from third party. So in the case of GMA and Manny Pangilinan at that time, that's opportunistic offer from a third party. So what are the different types of divestiture? First, we have the partial sell-offs. The divesting company only sells a portion of the business. So ito nga yung pinag-uusapan natin kanina between Pfizer and Glaxo. So actually, Pfizer, hindi naman binenta yung buong company. It's just a segment. And then next, we have equity carve-out. This occurs when an initial public offering is performed for up to 20% ownership of a subsidiary. The parent company retains control of the subsidiary from the remaining 80% shareholding. So I think equity carve-out, probably this is the case of Ministop, and Ministop is owned in portion by Gokong Wei, Robinson Salting. But in the recent news, they bought 100% ownership na. Then next, we have spin-off. So when we say spin-off, a business segment of the parent company is separated and is made into an independent new company. So also in the case of Pfizer, at that time, we have the Pfizer Animal Care. So that particular segment was developed into a separate entity outside Pfizer but within the same umbrella. So that's spin-off. Split-off naman, this is a business segment of the parent company, is also separated and made into an independent entity. However, shareholders are offered the option to exchange parent company shares for the new company shares or just to retain the parent company shares. So split-off, this is basically on the structuring lang naman ng shareholders or stocks ownership. So other special topics has to do with the return on investment based valuation method and dividend paying capacity method. So in terms of the return on investment, as you know, when we say return on investment, this measures the earnings generated by the business in relation to the investment made to the business. So this is a quick computation of company value based on the investment that the investor is willing to pay for the business. Now, in terms of dividend paying capacity method, actually there are two elements into this. So we have the profits and the dividend payout. And remember, dividend payout ratio, ito yung amount of or the level of dividend that you promise to pay to your stockholders. Of course, portion of it will have to be retained, part of your reserves. So that's on the other valuation techniques. Actually, that ends our discussion for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me a message on my personal email address flash on your screen. If you don't want to directly communicate with me, you can always course it through your class Beetle. So thank you once again for attending my class, and I'll see you again next session. Stay safe and stay healthy.
This has been your instructor, Mark Gibson. Thank you for learning with us. See you in our next discussion. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya!